Heavy metal rock.
Global mind.
Hi, this is Robert Cavuto, and you're listening to My Global Mind. Today we have Nate Hunt from Shaman's Harvest on the phone. Welcome.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I'm loving the new CD, Rebelator. It's pretty badass.
I hope so. We've been sitting on it for a long time, so I hope, I hope that.
You know, some artists were creative during the 2021 pandemic, and others felt maybe a little bit stagnant. I think you took the former approach and you really worked hard. Was this put together during the pandemic?
Actually, believe it or not, we took a year off of touring in 2018 or 19 or something. It made the record. It was supposed to come out in 2020 of spring.
Oh.
The world had different plans for it. So we've been sitting on this for about 2 years now.
2 years, gotcha.
Yeah.
What have you guys been doing for the pandemic time, through the pandemic?
We're trying to use the time to work on new material. I mean, we've had enough time now where we could have made 2 or 3 more records. So yeah, doing that, making babies, you know, things that people do during pandemic.
Well, that's a first one during my interview. That's cool. Well, congrats if you're the one making the babies.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
It's wonderful news. That's wonderful news. You know, what I loved about the CD was that, like, it was steeped in Southern rock, but with melodic hard rock. And I know that you don't like to pigeonhole your band or your music into one musical genre, but is there like any consideration to riding the country music and the Southern rock music explosion? Because that's so big nowadays. I mean, it's filling arenas and outdoors arenas.
Yeah, we should probably give it more consideration. It just happened. It just kind of weaves its way into our sound without a lot of thought. There are songs where we want it to feel a little more southern, more swampy than others. You know, but you know, again, I'm a big fan of just kind of using a little bit of all influence and creating a sound out of it.
I was wondering, who are some of your influences? Because I could hear a little bit of a few things, but I was just wondering, where do you net out with the entire album?
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, it's just like everybody. You know, we like to listen to everything. You know, we cut our teeth early on in the biker bar scene, so we're doing, you know, a lot of, you know, Allman Brothers and the Skinners, right, and all types of things, and we try to sneak in our own stuff here and there. So like the classic rock is definitely there. The blues, the Delta blues movement was definitely kind of got its hooks in us early on as kids. And but I mean, you know, also that's in there is the Metallicas and the Nine Inch Nails and some industrial stuff. And lately I've been really into the Black Pumas. Well, they came out with that record, and I was just like, oh, this is what music's supposed to be. So you know, my as I grow, so does my musical taste.
That's great. You know, Steve sent me the music, and I'm a new fan to your band. And I haven't gone back and listened to your other CDs, but do you think this CD is a progression from Red Hands and Smoking Hearts, or do you feel it's still in the same vein?
Oh, it's definitely different. As Red Hands is different from Smoking Hearts, and then even on before that. You know, I don't know if it's like evolution so much, but you know, we like to keep for ourselves. You know, we like to keep it fresh, because I feel like that passion, keeping things new for us, kind of we'll keep it new for the fans. Otherwise, you know, I love AC/DC, but you know, there doesn't need to be another AC/DC. The same record every record, right?
Yeah, they seem to do that well. There are other bands that do it subtly well too, like Def Leppard has a continuous sound.
Sure.
So yeah,
Sure.
and that they kind of stick with it, you know.
Sure. Yeah, it's really that's what I've when this is all said and done and we're done making music sometime in the far off future, I hope. Uh, you know, there's part of me that's kind of regrets I wish we had that one iconic sound that we could leave the world with, but uh, I would be bored to tears.
Yeah. I think you guys have a great sound and killer riffs. I mean, how important are riffs to your songwriting? Because every song has a memorable one. One of my favorites, particularly, is Pretty People.
Yeah, and that's the brilliance of Clint Lowery with that song.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, he it was a co-write with him. And I mean, it was just like, hey man, I've been sitting on this riff, uh, and then he was like, and what really annoys me is people that are just born beautiful,
Yeah.
and that's all they care about. And I was like, cool, we can make this work. Me too, dude. Uh, so, uh, the riffs are, I mean, it's a rock band. You know what I mean? Um, a lot of rock bands tend to go more electronic, I feel like now.
Yes.
But
Or
there's still
progressive. Or
or
progressive.
or progressive, absolutely. Yeah, it's just it's a dude rock kind of thing. And I think the riffs are what make that dude rock really more than anything.
Yeah, some of my favorite bands, like Iron Maiden, has gone really progressive. You know, filling, and I'm not saying anything disparaging, but they fill every beat with, some sort of instrumentation. It gets a little
Yeah.
overwhelming, and your songs really breathe, and I love that about it, you know?
It's just, I mean, one of my favorite genres is Motown, and that's kind of like it's almost as important what you do that you're not do. The space is almost as important as what you're
Yes.
doing and not in the space. So that's just kind of the school I came from, and I don't know, my brain just can't keep up with too many notes. It's might as well be playing jazz at that point.
That's me too. I'm the same way when I play guitar. And that's what I grew up on, the Scorpions, things like that. There was big spaces for melody and for the
Yeah,
lyrics and a groove. And you guys have that nailed perfectly. So kudos
yeah.
to you on that.
I think Scorpions just came out with a new song. I think.
Yes, rock believer.
Yeah, I haven't heard it yet, but I'm pretty. I love the Scorpions.
Me too. I grew
Those
up.
melodies are insane.
Yeah, and I grew up learning how to play guitar, from their music from the 70s. So it was critical.
Yeah, for sure.
I had to know, and we played it in bars. I was in a cover band and we had to play all those Scorpions albums. And I
Yeah,
loved them. One of my favorite. Eddie Van Halen was like too complicated for me. I didn't understand what he was doing, but I understood the chord progression of a riff, and I was able to emulate that, and I
yeah,
really enjoyed it.
yeah. That's where I'm at too. And I
Tell me about your friendship with Clint.
um we've known each other for probably about 10 years. When we just started, we'd open up for him every once in a while or something like that somewhere along the way. Um, and he moved to the state I was living in at the time. And we just kind of been, we were threatening each other with a co-write for almost 10 years.
Oh
So
wow.
uh, it just kind of, we were really trying with this record. Normally what happens is I'll have like this half-cocked idea, and we have the studio time already booked, and I'll come in with maybe just a little piece of a melody or a little piece of a guitar riff, and next thing we know, we write it and we track. It's on tape, and I like doing it that way for the fact that there's some passion that's captured. You don't rehearse that out,
Right.
but you know, it's a little. It's a, we just this record we wanted to see what could we write if we actually did pre-production and really put a lot of effort into um, some vision, trying to see it farther off. Um, and so Clint came at a point where we were dried up creatively, as you do when you're making a record.
Yep.
Um, and it just injected the life back into the whole process. I mean, he was very extremely professional, walked in, knocked out all of his parts on the record, and he moves at such a fast, crazy pace. I think his mind is just always going, thinking about the next part or the
Right.
next
Right.
instrument, what it could be doing. and that was kind of a joy to do because I'm kind of relaxed for the most part, and so to have those two kind of marry and not get in each other's way, that was nice. Like I'll cover this part, you cover that part.
Is he on the whole album, playing all the
No,
lead work?
no, just the one song, just the Pretty People.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's all his guitar work on that song.
Yeah, it's awesome. One of my favorite tracks on the CD. Tell me about the writing chemistry amongst the band. You know, the four of you. How does it's got to be great to have that chemistry, all one mindset, working and putting it out.
The move for us is to never deny anybody. If they have an idea and they're passionate about it, see it through to the end. Sometimes, you know, we hold on to the idea a little longer than we should, because we're trying to make, you know, everybody's voice heard. It's a band, you know what I mean? It's not just a single or two people even. So everybody's influence is there, even if it's just there's some color tracks on a lot of this record where it's just like these weird dissonant bends that aren't quite in, but they're intentional. And even if it's just that's brought to the table, because I would completely not play that. I could not play it to where it was just it. You know what I mean? So everybody has their own contribution, which is, I mean, this is rad to be playing with your dudes. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Who played all the slide guitar? Really cool stuff. Something I have absolutely zero knowledge how to do, but I enjoy it tremendously when I do hear it.
Neither do we. It's like when the Brits got an obsession with the blues and they tried to copy it, but then it became the British blues and that was a whole different thing. Right. It's kind of that. I think if there was like actual real slide purists out there, and they gave it, they'd be kicking our ass. But yeah, so that's a Fender lap guitar.
Okay.
It's not like the normal 6-string. And so, but it has just the mean. Most of it is that. There's some that's but it has just this really mean pickup that's just super loud and proud. And but so that's all Derek Shipp. He played all those parts.
Awesome.
And you know, some of it's open, some of it's standard. But it's just a bunch of experimenting.
That's fantastic. Yeah. You know, it didn't sound like a steel lap. That always, to me, sounds like it has a very metallic sound to it. Not like heavy sound, more like a twangy sound. Yeah. I think, but you guys nailed it, I guess, with the pickup. It sounds killer. You did a great job.
It's different than it's the lap steel, not the pedal steel, which gets real twangy, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, this is more like that. It's about this big. It's basically a 2x6. You know, you can put some heavy gauge strings on there, which also really bite too.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I was trying to figure out the slide. I got my slide and I tuned it regular, E-tuning, you know, and it just didn't work. I was like, why isn't this working? And then I just threw it aside, and then I found years later that it takes special tuning.
Yeah.
That was so out of my scope.
Yeah, you know, and some people play it in standard. Derek plays slide a lot in standard, our guitar player. Jason Isbell is a big, like, you can only play in standard, whatever. But when you have the open tunings and you're just going from 3, 5 to 7, like, it just sounds like the blues gods are, like, you know, fully backing you, whatever you're playing, man. I love those big open tunings.
One of my favorite slide songs is Billy Squier, "What Do You Want From Me?" And I was trying to figure that out. I was like, why isn't this working? Not realizing that you probably had different tuning, but that's a killer one. I was wondering too, being new to the band, I saw some live videos, you guys. You were a 5-piece at one time. Now you're a 4-piece. Do I have that correct? And what was the decision for the change?
It was time for us and the bass player to part ways. That's really all it was. It will be a 5-piece performing. Okay. But Shaman's Harvest, as of now, is a 4-piece. At one time, we were a 6-piece. We had the 3 guitarists. Okay. Everybody had, it was cool. It was three guitars, but it never got muddy, man. Everybody had their own little parts, you know, whether it was just an
Yeah,
arpeggio picking part or something, and somebody's doing it, but it's a wall of guitars.
that's awesome. Yeah, Maiden does that too, right? They got the three
Yeah,
guitar players,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it works well for them. Because
Skinner and
their shit is so intricate. So yeah, somebody could always be doing something different, and it all works. You know.
right.
My favorite track, I have to say, out of all time was "Under Your Skin." It's got the melody, which is fantastic, and it's got this something dark brewing underneath it all in the lyrics. Can you share some insights into that song's creation?
Yeah, I mean, I've been, I've been listening to a lot of crime podcasts, true crime podcasts. You know, that's what I do when I when you play music a lot. You just, you know, sometimes you just want to have silence, or maybe just somebody talking in a pleasant voice about murder. So
Okay.
I think that's probably lyrically where that stemmed from. You know, it's just about uh, someone's absolute obsession with someone else, and you know, a lot of people have been in that relationship where it's like, no, man, it's over, and the other one's like, you think it's over, but it's not over. You know what I mean? So like that, it's that kind of thing. A lot of times we'll write, you know, true to life stuff, but a lot of times we try to you know, it's like a fantasize, not really a fantasy, but it's just a story, you know.
Fiction. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's a great explanation. I wasn't expecting that. The other one too is right up there is Lilith. I love the beginning part with that dark, evil undertones, and then you crush in with the main verse. Obviously, that has some killer slide work in it too. So, was that the same thinking with true crime stories on that one?
That one was
That's
uh
evil stuff.
yeah, yeah, it's pretty dark. You know, the story of Lilith. You know, anytime you go biblical with something, it kind of gets there's some dark stuff in that Bible, right?
Yes,
I
yes.
think I've heard anyways. Um uh, yeah, but also like it's there's like a little play between uh you know, a lot of it sits in a minor key, but then there's like this play of these happy major chords that come around to just kind of lift it a little bit, and then you're
Yeah,
back to this dark vibe again. And then also, uh, it's really our first kind of foray into like that industrial percussive
yeah,
thing, you know. And I just really wanted to mix like this southern swampy slide part with this industrial. Um,
works awesome.
yeah, I don't know why, but it worked.
Tell me about the first line that you say. What made you pick that line, and what made you put it in the beginning, like the slow part? So that's so effective and
Yeah,
malevolent.
yeah, it does feel sinister.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, the well, I wanted to start it with the chorus because I mean it's not really a chorus, but
Right.
vocally it is. Um, I just wanted to establish the hook immediately, even though it's played in a lot darker vibe than it is in the rest of the song. Um, I just wanted, and I'm a big fan of intros. I've just always been a big fan of intros. I mean, I love the smack in the face, like straight off and here we go too, but I like this very
I do too.
overly cinematic sometimes kind of intro, and bridges too. I love bridges. I just love watching a bridge develop. Because it gives you a chance to step out of that thing you've been
Right,
listening
right.
to for 3 or 4 minutes. Um, yeah, so that I mean that was just that was the thought process was we should start it with a chorus that's not a chorus.
Yeah. One of my favorite bands, I love that too. Starting off slow and then kicking in like Black Diamond with Kiss.
Yeah,
That's one
absolutely.
of my favorite ones too.
Yeah, there you go.
They do that awesomely. Um, Tell me, do you feel like you're a better songwriter now than when but you put out what, 7 albums? So are you feeling a better songwriter now than you were at the very beginning of your career?
Oh God, yeah. When I started, I was a 15-year-old kid that
Wow.
you know there's something about those songs if I go back and listen to if I can stomach it. You know, sometimes it's real cringy, obviously, like everything anyone ever did when they were 15 compared to when they're an adult. Uh, you know, there's like this belief in every single one of them. That's the I believe in the music now too, but there's like this innocence about it. That so am I? But I'm a much better songwriter now. We all of us are.
Yeah.
Uh, than when we started. Even I'm a better songwriter now from the record before, and then
Wow.
on and on. It's just how you have to evolve to stay relevant and care. You know, to continue to care about what you're doing.
True.
But there was this purity that was there. Not in the sound. I sounded terrible, but there was a purity. I could hear the belief in every word.
That's awesome. It's awesome. Tell me a little about watching videos of yourself too. Same thing, I would imagine. Like I'm new to Zoom. It took a while to get used to my voice on recordings, and I'm like, oh, I sound terrible. Now I'm doing Zoom, and it's like it's starting all over again. How about going back and watching some of your older videos? Are you good with that? Because I heard like Slash does not watch any of his videos. Joe Satriani, same thing.
I'm the same way. Really, with a lot of things. That's why it'll be 5 years before I listen to the stuff from
Really
back then. But definitely watching the videos because it's I get real. I'll say Joe Cocker-ish on stage where I just kind of lose track of what's going on.
in the moment.
I lose track of my limbs for sure. And I'm just like some weird dad move or something, some weird like dad dance that he does in front of his daughter to embarrass her is the same moves that I have on stage, you know. So I just assume do it and not ever see it. Yeah,
that's a great answer. You talked a little bit about the new CD that's coming, or you're working on a new CD. Can you say where that vibe is going for that one?
It's probably a lot more singer. I mean, as of now, because I'm the singer, it tends to be more singer songwriter. But once everybody else gets involved in it, it'll wind up being. But it'll be the Shaman's Harvest that there'll be those elements that we have in every record where. You know, there'll be these. You know, I don't know what they call them now. I just call them ballads. You know, there'll be those ballad kind of vibes that tend to be kind of epic and they go places. I've been writing a lot of linear songs that just kind of crescendo throughout, but are really kind of sticking around the same route, and it feels natural that way. Everything that I try to write, I don't want anything to feel forced. That's what the demo phase is for, you know.
Right.
Figure out what's forced and what's not. Try everything in the book. Throw every tool you got at it. But then, you know, if it feels forced, it's definitely going to sound forced.
Gotcha. You know, you have so many great songs on this album. And I told you particularly two of my favorites, which weren't really the singles. Not that the singles were not great. The whole album is great, but how do you pick your single when you have so many great choices to choose from? Is it like a coin flip? Is it a vote? What do you do? You know,
it's kind of a vote. It's kind of like, you know, what the label believes in, but also what we can get behind too. You know, and we're still trying to figure out what the singles are going to be. You know, what the actual real singles are going to be.
Yeah.
So far, really, the only single we've released is Voices. So
I thought I saw one more. I thought I saw a different one too.
Well, I mean, we've released some songs.
Oh, okay. I took that as a single. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll call them like gratuity tracks or whatever. We release
right.
so people can hear what's going on before we release the record. You know.
Gotcha.
So I think the next single is either going to be Lilith or Under Your Skin, which is ironic because those are the ones you're talking about.
I put my hand up for that vote. So yeah, when you're going around the table.
I'm with you, brother.
And my last question to you is touring. What do you think is going to happen with touring? I know you have some dates. Are you going to expand outside to the east, the west?
Yeah, so far all that's booked is a February and a March tour. That goes kind of through the South.
Yes.
I think the farthest east we get is maybe Raleigh, North Carolina. And then we do the festivals. They're being booked now as we speak. But we're looking at an April tour. It's tentative right now. To try, I mean, God, I don't even know how you plan for these things anymore, man. Because there's a lot of times they don't come to fruition. But you plan for the best, right? So what I'd like to do is we'd like to do a tour with Crowbot, hit the East Coast, where they do well. They're a fantastic like riff rock band.
Okay. Yep.
If you're not familiar, check them out.
I will.
And just keep on keeping on. Our goal is always when we come out with the record is just basically tour for a good year straight. And then
I'd love to come in. I'd love to see you guys when you come around. So I'll work with Steve to do that. Oh, I got one more quick one for you. Being a new fan, which album should I go back and listen to next? What would you recommend?
I would recommend, you're a guitar guy. I would go, it's an older record, but I'd go to Shine. It's just an EP. It's like a 6-song EP. You kind of get some of those things. There's even some Scorpions vibe in there too.
Cool.
And then I would go. I would just take them out from there, man. Just like grab a little bit here. Smoking Hearts, Broken Guns is another. That's probably the record that made people check it out.
Good. Well, I really think it was a fascinating interview, and I really appreciate your time. And I wish you the best with the CD. And definitely when you come to New Jersey, New York area, I will definitely be there to see you guys because I think you're awesome band.
Thanks,
I'm looking forward to going back now and listening to your other stuff too.
Yeah, dude, let's do it. Yeah.
So thank you.
Anytime. Yeah, brother.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Heavy metal rock. Global mind.